Waiting on the brother to come back in. And then we will get started here very shortly. I do apologize for all these technical mishaps here. Peace in Islam, everybody. I thank y'all for joining. We getting ready to get started with our Sunday school. And waiting on the big brother here to come on and do our thing. Sister Rachel, I see your page. Boy, you dropping that information and dropping that knowledge. Thank you both. Well, somebody help me come on here and help me get the Sunday school started. Somebody, because I thought Brother Maddox Bay was going to be able to do it, but seemed like Brother Maddox Bay is having so much technical difficulties with the bring on another Mo so we can go ahead and get this started, man, because this. Okay, let me see. He didn't made it. I need somebody to help me help this brother on how to understand how he's supposed to come into the meeting. Okay, brother, that's good. Now you here, but you got to click on that invite that I done sent you, Mo. I sent you an invite. I'm sending you the invite, and what you got to do is you have to click on that invite for the request. It says request to join, and I need for you to accept it. Then once you accept it, then we'll be live, Mo. Okay, good. That's how you do it, Mo. Excellent, Mo. Excellent. That's how you do it. However you did it just then and there, that's how you go live, Mo. That's how you go live. Before we was doing a telephone call. This is actual live. This is being recorded, and I can send this to you. You understand? So everything we talk about and everything we dialogue on this is going all over the world. Everybody's gonna see it in Baltimore. They're gonna see it in Africa. They're gonna see it in the United Kingdom. They're gonna see it in China. They're gonna see it in South Africa, right? They're gonna see it in the Congo. Okay, they're gonna see it in Baltimore City. All right. So we already opened up. For those that don't know, we already opened up the meeting. And so now we're gonna go over the first 10 of the 101s. Okay. Who made you? Who made you? Can you hear me, brother? Who made you? Allah. Who is Allah? Allah is the Father of the universe. Can we see him? No. Where's the nearest place we can meet him? In the heart. Who is Noble Drew Ali? He is Allah's prophet. What is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah. manifested in the flesh. 7. What is the duty of a prophet? To save nations from the wrath of Allah. Who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America? Noble Drew Ali. What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? 1913 AD. Where? Newark, New Jersey. Okay, so we have actually now fulfilled the requirements. The Sunday school is now open. I now turn it over to Grand Governor Maddox Bay. Can you hear me, Brother Maddox Bay?
Islam, Mo.
Islam.
Islam. Islam, brothers and sisters. Hope everybody is having a good Sunday thus far. Happy to be with you this Sunday in the month of September. Islam.
Islam.
Islam, Mo. Just let me give honor and praise to Allah, the great God of the universe, for sending us a prophet and for keeping us on the road this long to deal with critical situations in our nations that we did not have the equations or the formula or the medicine before Prophet Noble Drew Ali came. And everybody got to recognize that. You know, if you will, we are in what is called, I term it the coming conflict. Although it's here, it's still coming because they're dealing with phases and phases of it, and they in one phase now. Okay, so we give honor and praise to the great God Allah for sending us a prophet because we were very disobedient people, very disobedient. Let us look at the time before Musa, and you see that during Joseph's time, he was a couple hundred years before Musa, and he had a dream and visions that it was going to be a famine in Egypt. Bad times were coming, hard times, and so by him being a dreamer and keeping a pure spirit and getting a good education, he received the right formula from Allah because he was on that frequency. Now, in these ancient histories, whether you say they want as a metaphor or actual history, you got to realize that it's lessons in these histories, right, for us today, because we are in trouble. The Moors really can't make heads or tails of Prophet Noble Drew Ali's overall message. You can go throughout the country and you won't find Moors on the same page as it relates to the stanzas or the courses of what Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought. Okay, now this is critical because we can't deal with unity if we don't understand what Prophet Noble Drew Ali did. You know, so it's the same thing in the ancient past. You had when Jesus came and he opened up the lessons, you follow me? Now remember, he's touching upon the lessons that were already there, but he's also bringing from him the secret things of Allah that the people had forgotten or did not know. Okay, and one of the things he touched upon that there was a lot of confusion about was the reincarnation. And so he said of his brother, cousin, Yahya, who was son of Zachariah and Elizabeth, 6 months older than Love Made Manifested, that John is Elijah come again. Okay, so what is he talking about? What is he saying? He's saying that before John time, that spirit came in the form of Elijah. Okay, so he's dealing in reincarnation. You follow me? Not in the sense that man is coming back as an animal, We're not dealing with it in that sense. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. So if we were Moors 10,000 years ago, we're Moors today. No one can change man from the descent nature of his forefathers. Okay? Of himself, he said that he was the Prince of Peace, none other than Melchizedek. Remember, he said, before the days of Abraham I was. And this is who he's making reference to, the Prince of Peace, Melchizedek. Now, these stories and this history, you follow me? These are very fine points in the Moorish subject, because a lot of Moors can't wrap their head around reincarnation. But it is a history in the Moorish paradigm about reincarnation and Prophet Noble Drew Ali, as it is about Abraham Lincoln and Prophet Noble Drew Ali, as it is about Jesus and Prophet Muhammad. All that light energy does is take another form at a different place on earth at a point in time. So when we see our good brother Yahshua and the message that he brought of truth, right, to relieve, remember now what was taking place with our people. They were falling more and more into the Roman Empire, into the Roman culture. So a redeemer had to come, a resurrector, Islam. And this was none other than Yahshua, none other than Yahshua, who we also call Emmanuel. Emmanuel is God and man. So this was the name that he was recognized by the schools of thought.
Right.
It's very important, Islam, because if we don't understand key elements of Moorish history, which we don't understand, then we won't know what happened and we won't know what to do. And you'll be wandering in the darkness when the prophet brought you the light. So it was confusion, much confusion in the Moorish Science Temple at the time of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He left information and letters about it, what was going on, that they were trying to take the movement from it. And he stated that they will not recognize Moorish science subject temple without I, the prophet, being at their head of every turn. Okay? Now, what was taking place? And who was involved? Basically, it was brothers who called themselves Masonic, but were not really Masonics. Okay? They were not really Masonics. They were just bad Muslims, or Muslims, if you will. But that's what they didn't want to do. They didn't want to proceed on the path that the prophet laid. They wanted to deal with a fiction. You follow me? Of offshoot Negro Masonicism. And the prophet wasn't having it. He wasn't having it. So he had brothers that believed in him, that loved him, and that was willing to carry out his tenets. One such brother was John Gibbons-Ear. Now, what he did was profound, Mo, and he was known at that time as Prophet Noble Drew Ali reincarnated. Okay, what did he do? He prevented a corporate takeover of all the temples. That's what he did. Now, in order to justify what he did, you have to look at what the Dingwall brothers did, because they were sent into the government. I just had that. Oh, wait a minute. 1 second. 1 second. Bear with me.
Okay.
Okay, I can elaborate on it. Uh,
Okay.
Brother Timothy Dingle Eel came down to our temple on Baltimore on Howard Street to clear fire misunderstanding between the members and his brother. And he stated that me and my brother are one. He left information in the newspaper to that effect, and also showing degree of the 45, a triangle, right? That him and his brother compute to be the same. Me and my
Okay.
brother are one, as Moses and Aaron. So we talking about the modern day Moses and Aaron, okay?
Okay.
Because they took the message from the reincarnated prophet John Gibbonsville to Washington, D.C. And what message was that? That was the Mosaic Code. Let my people go, free my people under the Mosaic Code, under the laws of Moses. If you hold your brother a bondsman or bondsmaid 6 years in servitude, and the seventh year you set him free, you compensate him. Don't take it as a hardship, because during the time you had him, he was a hired servant unto you. You couldn't pay him at the time, but now that your crops got done, now that you got food stuff in storage, and your wineries, that's your wine and your grape juices and your peach juices and your apple juice and all that stuff, and you got it stored up along with your applesauce and preserves, and you got enough for everybody so you can pay them without any hardship. Now, modern day terms, let us fast forward and understand what Lincoln did, because the compensation is based on divine law. They opened every law in the book that dealt with slavery and the issue of compensation. See, the reason that a lot of our people don't understand this is because not the European now. Wait a minute, you got to hold on a minute. Not so much the European. Our people turned their back on the policy, right?
Okay.
See, and this is where they followed Thaddeus Stevens in the House, Charles Sumner in the Senate, who devised the 14th Amendment for him.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is very critical, Moors, because this was not the true policy. This was a Ponzi scheme known as the three dead badges of law, held by Justice Bradley, null and void. Supreme Court Reporter 109, 1875 court cases that came up in 1883. So our people don't know this. Our people are living in darkness. They think they're citizens. But remember now, your enemy keeps things from you because he's not playing checkers. He's not the game you think he's playing. He's not playing that game that you playing. He's playing chess, and he plays it very well because he mastered it. Because he's been mastering it for over 3,000 years. And our people cannot see. They don't have vision or intuition to penetrate the mercury ethers of the flesh, the lie, the delusion, the deception. So they caught in darkness, but they think it's light. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying our people think that the civil rights that Martin Luther King and all them push is the light, and it's not the light. What Abraham Lincoln did is the light, because the great Abraham Lincoln, the prophet president, tied back into something that was the foundation of nations, and that is the Mosaic Code. If you hold your brother, a bondsman or bondsmaid, 6 years in servitude, in the seventh year you set him free and you compensate him. And that is in harmony with the 10th chapter, the 25th chapter and 10th verse of Leviticus. Ye shall hallow in the 50th year and proclaim liberty. Proclaim it. throughout all the land, and every man will be returned to his family estate, every man returned to his family possession. Now, why is that important? The reason that that is important for all humanity is so that no man will be held a slave by another man for a term of years. But then you get compensated for the work that you've done. You got to bring justice on earth. You have to bring this balance on earth. See? Now, there's certain things that we definitely need to know as relates to the three things that comprise a nation: the people, the territory, and the law. We have to know, we must know that they marked us with these names, these so-called names of the creative status, of slave status: Negro, Black, Colored, Ethiopian, and of course, modern day commercial term, Moorish American. African American. And it's sad. I started to say Moorish American because the Moors are somewhat in that condition, but that's not the name. See, Moorish American is the correct name. Why is that the correct name? Because what your ancient forefathers were, you are today, without doubt or contradiction. You're just living in a different political situation in what is now called the Americas, but whose lawful name, and note I say the lawful name, is Egypt of the West. Historical name, an ancient name, is the Mexico. Now, why is that a lawful name, Egypt of the West? Because that's part of the proclamation. That's in the proclamation. That's in the proclamation. That is in compensated emancipation. So lawfully, see, we got to deal with the Constitution now. Now we rising out of the darkness and seeing that law governs all event, and we got to embrace our law. So what is our law? The Mosaic Code, the Quran of Muhammad, the Quran of Mecca, our Circle 7, right? And don't forget 1774, Declaration of Human Rights. If I'm pronouncing that right, along with the Articles of Association in 1774. Then, in order to form a more perfect union, and note the code, a more perfect union, the Constitution of the United States. And in that Constitution, it has a clause that abolishes slavery by the year 1808. We got to understand these hooks and how this history went down, Mo, because this is what you're going to redeem yourself with. The day of unbelief, the day of not knowing, the day of Negro, Black, and colorism is over. Remember the story of a Rainbow? And he's running down the origin of man. Let's talk to some of our people. And they're going to run down the origin of man according to their understanding level of a European education. Some of them are going to lean on Darwin's theory of evolution. Okay? Some of them going to lean on, I'm not saying all concepts of Egyptian history, but distorted concepts of Egyptian history. So, in other words, the Negro, Black, Colored, under those terminologies, don't have a creation story. He don't have a creation story. He do not have a creation story. That means that technically that puts him in the category of a beast. Because all human beings have a creation story. If you check with the Chinese, they have a creation story. You check with the Arabs, they have a creation story. You check with the Turks, they have a creation story. You check with the English, they have a creation story. The French, creation story. Germans, creation story. The only one that don't have a creation story is this Negro. And he's still clinging to names and principles that delude to slavery, Mo. We're doing it to ourselves. Because you got to understand, man is hiding, the beast is hiding behind these forms, these physical forms. He put a fez on and a turban on and sell you out and know what they're doing. In other words, they don't have the spirit of their forefathers, their ancient forefathers, and they don't have Islam at heart, Mo. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The old sheiks can identify it. Some of the Europeans can identify it too. And I would say a lot of them who are, and not just only these street people. Some people from the street can identify it, but master masons can identify it because they have a much more rigorous course of humanity, if you will. In other words, their studies from the ancient records down to the present, if they truly study it. Because you know they study the Quran too. Oh, they mix a lot, Mo. Don't think they don't mix a lot. If they on their degrees the way they're supposed to be on their degrees. See, you can't be you can't be a real Mason until you make this a lot. It all goes back to Islam. That's what you feel. I'm not talking about Muslims. I'm not talking about Muslims. We're talking about Islam. We're talking about, look, when we saw the planets line up, I'm going to go back 2.5 years ago. And then just recently, a few months ago. That's Islam. That's telling man to straighten up and fly right. If you don't, then watch what happens after that. You're going to see a major catastrophe. It probably already happened somewhere in the world. But it's going to happen of a greater magnitude. It's going to be a harder hit. You cannot ignore the signs of the time and stay in a false construct of a social order. You have to proclaim your nationality. This sin of Negroism must be removed from the land in order to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. It got to be removed, Mo. And you're going to see it and you're going to know it. And you're going to have the policy to deal with it. You're going to be able to deal with it in all its facets and disguises. But you got to be on your lesson. You got to know your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s. We are clean and pure nation, descendants from the inhabitants of Africa. We do not desire to marry or amalgamate with the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their kind. We're not trying to amalgamate with you. We're not trying to do that. The prophet made that correction. See, the prophet brings something from the old and something from the new. He's correcting his people. We've been there and done that. All right, that time is up. Now it's time for you to get yourself together. You follow me? And so you can be able to stand in this day. When the earthquake, you follow me, you'll be the calm to bring the earth back down. When you see them tidal waves and tsunamis, you'll be the breath that changed the course of that tsunami. Stomp your feet at the Tusami, and the Tusami quiet down just like a little puppy. Because that's what it is, the man, Mo. When man is man, unencumbered by entrapments of the lower self, and is himself his higher self. You follow me? It's nothing too good for the man if the man is good. And that's what the prophet want, gold. Morals of men, upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones. And we follow the prophet to a destiny not unknown nor uncertain. But you got to be fortified. You got to be fortified by the impregnable doctrines based upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The purpose for the flag. 5 principles, the highest principles known to man. Love, truth. That's why that star is in the flag. It is a what? A reminder. A reminder of where we came from and where we at. And how to get back to where we came from. You're talking about energy. So I say to all you brothers and sisters that hear my voice, the Moorish Science Temple has a policy. Has a policy. You have to be up on your policy. Now a lot of people are being made sheiks, governors, grand sheiks, assistant grand sheiks, chairmen, and don't know their policy. You got young brothers that can't give a command, you know? And most temples, what they try to do is compete with each other to see who gives the best demonstration. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But that can't be the only thing. That's what you got to know. You got to know law because law governs all events. Now we're going to see who, and bear with me a minute, because this is important history. We're talking about the restructure of the Union under constitutional principles. We took that over amnesty and reconstruction, right? To fight against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that's in violation of the Constitution and them proclamations. As Lincoln said, the Union is much older than the Constitution. Because now, wait a minute now, let me shed some light on this. Because Taney was saying, look, you didn't have nothing to do with the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. But was he really telling the truth? And upon examination of the record, you can see that it was a lie there, Mo. It was a lie there. What happened? They put that Negro, black, and colored on the Moorish children to separate them from the lustrous history of their forefathers who are the first founders of civilization. Who are the founders of civilization. So you can't make the connection into Moorish. You can't make the connection into Phoenician. You can't make the connection into the different tribes in Cana, in and around ancient Moab, in and around Atlantis, in and around Mu. You can't make the connection. You can't find yourself. But yet still when you read the Quran and Surah 2, Ayah 213, it stated that all mankind was one nation. And you know who was first, Mo. And it is a maxim in law that state that which is first is more true. And that which is first in time is stronger in law. So what we are doing, we are reestablishing the true union under true constitutional principles. We went back, we discovered the conspiracy, and we're making the correction. We're making the correction. And that correction is that 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, and 13th Amendment and 2 sections is garbage. It's garbage. But let us look at the Union for a minute. And let us see what the old prophet president said about the Union. The Union is much older than the Constitution. It was formed, in fact, by the Articles of Association in 1774. It was matured and continued in the Declaration of Independence in 1776. It was further matured in the faith of all the then 13 states expressed and plighted and engaged that it should be perpetual by the Articles of Confederation in 1778. And finally, in 1787, one of the declared objects for ordaining and establishing the Constitution was they form a more perfect union. There's that code, a more perfect union. Now, why was that? Why a more perfect union? Because remember, it had a problem. It was called slavery. Now you're coming from the old world, right? You're coming from the old world. The Moors was told to cut it off a long time ago. They didn't cut it off. We got caught in the sauce. Then we went to people who don't know, that didn't have no law. Okay? And suffered greatly under the hands of the unjust. Then we established a law with a few of their masterminds who were humane, and know that you can't fight all the time, and you got to have some law to run the country by. So in Article 1 of the Constitution, it is a clause that abolished slavery by the year 1808. That's why you don't see slavery in the Constitution. See, in order to form a more perfect union. Now the people held in bondage, now they can come back and through the naturalization process. And I say through naturalization, because when you Moors read that law of 1787, Naturalization and Cessation Act, you'll see that it say you have to put down what name you have for your nationality. You have to put down your name. So this is what the prophet is saying. If the Chinese, the Arabs, Turks are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government, that's the laws of naturalization. That is only right that law be enforced on everybody. So, well, like I said, we're coming out of a sleep now. Now you begin to see that you must operate together. You must operate in unity. This is the protocol. Anything else, it's the level of the beast. See how they do the fire department, the hospitals, the schools, right? Any other business like that. The fire department, the police department, all that. They use Robert Rules of Order. It's an order to it. They're able to maintain the meeting and to move forward. So they got a place for opinions, shooting opinions, and all that. You follow me? And then when they get down to the actual business, it's a place for that. Let me do that again. One of the declared objects for ordaining and establishing the Constitution was to form a more perfect union. Stop the fighting, form the laws. But if the destruction of the union by one or by part only of the states be lawfully possible, the union is less than before, the Constitution having lost the vital element of perpetuity. Very important. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to nip this thing in the bud and destroy the Constitution and every connection to it as they possibly can, so we can't make the connection. But if there is a God, and we have a God, Mo, and he is the great God Allah, and he deals with what? All seeing and all knowing. He ain't sleep. He winketh at your doing, so think not, bold man, that your punishment is delayed or the arm of Allah is weakened. Oh, brother, straighten up and fly right while you can, man. If you say you're a true American citizen, then help us in our missionary work to get our people out of the darkness into the marvelous light and back into the constitutional fold under their nationality, which is Moorish American. Stop marking them with Negro, black, and color, jigaboo, and all that foolishness. That's where the earthquake's gonna come from. So that's very important. That's how the union society has to be set up. We have to operate according to law. Now, in some places, grand sheiks have told their constituents, if you will, their membership, to go to the court, pay $160, $140, whatever it is, and get your bail on your name. I said, no. I say, go and stand on your principle, because you don't have to pay nothing for you. You don't need no court order to get your bail on your name. And you got to let them people know that we got an agreement with you. Stand on the principle, Mo. Take what you know, be what you know, or Mo, and go and demonstrate. But what's the problem? The Moors don't see it. They're not even at their study point. They can't make the connection because they created fitness within the temple that allow their vision to be distorted by the mercury ethers of the flesh. And so their imam, they can't build their the iman. So it flutters on a plane of stupidity. It flutters on a plane of female men. Not serious. They don't think that Moors think they don't even have to say their prayers. Wow, man. I never seen nothing like it. And it get worse with each generation. It's very important that we study this thing. It's very important that we listen to Lincoln, President Abraham Lincoln, the prophet president, because Lincoln championed this thing, and I don't want to say he did it single-handedly. Lincoln had many admirers, many people that admired him. Even when he was a young boy, he was called Old Abe because he was an old head Mo. It was practicing wisdom. See, it was nothing around that time to distort. Didn't have a television, didn't have a radio, didn't have the PlayStation, didn't have the cell phones, none of that to distort. So his thoughts came in clear, perfect for the task at hand. And so he challenged what is called the Dred Scott case. Now, what is the Dred Scott case? What is it? What do it set up? It set up a continued caste system that the dark-skinned people are slaves. That's what it do. But Lincoln challenged Taney's historical facts. A few words from the private president on his Dred Scott, springboarding off of Justice Curtis, who dissent from Taney. I've said in substance that the Dred Scott decision was in part based on assumed historical facts, which were not really true. And I ought not to leave the subject without giving some reason for saying this. I therefore give an instance or two which I think fully sustains me. Chief Justice Taney, that's Roger B. Taney from Maryland, in delivering the majority opinion of the court, insists at great length that Negroes were no part of the people who made and for whom was made the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution of the United States. Let's see what the brother said. On the contrary, Justice Curtis, in his dissent opinion, shows that in 5 of the 13 states, to wit, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, and North Carolina, free Moors were voters, and in proportion to their number, had the same part in making the Constitution that white people had. He shows this with so much particularity as to leave no doubt of his truth. And as a sort of conclusion on that point, hold the following language. Justice Curtis, y'all pay attention to him, Mo, because you're going to need him in the future. This is Justice Curtis. He descended from Taney, meaning he don't agree with what Taney stated. The Constitution was ordained and established by the people of the United States through the action in each state of those persons who were qualified by law to act there on behalf of themselves and all other citizens of the state. In some of the states, we have seen Moorish persons were among those qualified by law to act on the subject. These Moorish persons were not only included in the body of we the people of the United States, by whom the Constitution was ordained and established, but in at least 5 of the states, they had the power to act, and doubtlessly did act by their suffrage upon the question of his adoption. In other words, they brought it into existence from scratch. They brought it into existence from scratch. Very important. Very important, more. And well, this is something that we gotta embrace, because they still treating you like you have no rights that a white man bound to respect. And that's what you gotta let them know, is that you have your birthrights, your constitutional rights, your religious rights. Come on, man. You got rights, but you got to know your rights. You got to stand on your rights. You got to execute from your rights. Right makes might. If you don't execute right, then don't expect for no might. You know? That's important, Mo. So that's the Constitution history. Now, Justice Curtis, as well as Abraham Lincoln, was from the Whig-a-More Party. Let's remove that adjective for a minute. Whig. And so you got the Moors Party. What is the mascot of the of the Whig of the Republicans?
The elephant.
The elephant. That's symbolic of Hannibal. That's symbolic of Azoka down in India, who was from the Moorish Empire. Republican mean all the people. We the people. The commonality, the generality. Everybody. Well, the Roman Empire wasn't about that. The Roman Empire was about an oligarch, right? And they can roll with an aristocrat or a monarchy. So when they use the term democracy, where's that at in our Constitution? Because what's in our Constitution as form of government is Article 4, Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state a republican form of government. A republican form of government. Now, why is that important? Because when you go back and you deal with the Constitution, you see that it was so pertinent and so great an issue that the Founding Fathers put it in the Constitution, Article 4, Section 4. The United States, Article 4, Section 4, the United States will guarantee to every state a republican form of government. That's your right to have a republican form of government. Can't nobody deny you that. So now we execute the law, Mo. See? The cornerstone that was rejected is now the head of the building. The plowman has already overtaken the reaper. But our people don't know that. We're not trying to be smart. We're not trying to point the finger at the European, say it was your fault, this. No, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that. We got to be lawmen to the end, Mo. This thing got to be carried out. It has to be efficient. It has to be done skillfully. And it has to be done, you must keep your eye on the law. Now, here's some history on, nice piece of history, on how the conspiracy developed. And of course, we're talking about the conspiracy after the Civil War. Following the assassination of Lincoln, President Andrew Johnson adhered to the policies of his predecessor, as indicated in Johnson's proclamation of amnesty, May 1865. If you read them, they're identical, or speak a lot to the same subject, and that is that the slaves are forever free and no more slavery. And we got to uphold the true Constitution and the true proclamation of 1320 that was passed during the existing rebellion. Very important, man. Very important. That's very important. That's what the radicals stepped around when they devised that 14th Amendment. Check this out. The radical Republicans, led by Thaddeus Stevens in the House of Representatives, Charles Sumner in the Senate, attempted to hinder Lincoln's plan and to severely punish the South for rebelling against the Union. To accomplish these ends, the radicals attempted to incorporate a 13th Amendment with 2 sections to the Constitution to prevent former slaveholders from receiving compensation for their confiscated human property. However, through the influence of Lincoln, in which the Congress, this 13th Amendment was replaced by a 13th Amendment with 20 sections, was passed by both houses of Congress and signed by Abraham Lincoln on February 1st, 1865. But following February, March, April, that's when they shot President Abraham Lincoln. They shot him on the 14th, he passed on the 15th. But following the presidential assassination, there arose among the radical Republicans a conspiracy to continue their vendetta against the South by treacherously and illegally recalling the 13th Amendment with 2 sections and forcing its ratification by the northern and western states. The southern states have never ratified it. In addition, by manipulating the former bondsmen of the nation, both the educated, such as Frederick Douglass, as well as the uneducated, these radicals devised the 14th and 15th Amendment in an attempt to cover up their plot. Right?
Right.
The 14th Amendment in particular denies the right of compensation for confiscated property as guaranteed in the 5th Amendment. So if we read the 5th Amendment, it tells you that you cannot take property without just compensation. The same 14th Amendment attempts to make citizens of people, so-called Negroes, who have not been educated to the true facts of their heritage and who have never legally proclaimed their true, free, ancestral names, race, and religion as required of all foreign immigrants to this country under the provisions of the laws of naturalization. You gotta watch yourself more. Because when they round you up and they coming for you, that's the law they're gonna use. You ain't a citizen, no way. You was never a citizen. You never proclaimed your nationality. And guess what? They can't say nothing. He can't say. See, who are we talking about? We talking about the Boule. Who are we talking about? The NAACPs. Want you to vote on something that don't matter, just to vote. And then it don't change nothing. And nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Ain't it something to be said of the mentality when a man keep doing the same thing over and over again, over and over, and don't get better results? So yeah, Ma, Allah's leading on in victory sure. To go back to the Dingwall brothers, they were sent into the government by the reincarnated prophet John Gibbonshill. I will read that piece to you some other time from Supreme Grand Sheikh Timothy Dingwall Noble Drew Ali.
Okay, good.
About where his brother got the authority from. Now, John Gibbonshill is from South Carolina, And both the Dingley brothers are from South Carolina. So
Okay.
This is the South Carolina connection. These
Okay.
are the sundry Moors that come again to do the job that they did in 1790. Now, what did they do? They saw what was taking place. They saw how the young people were going into bondage and being marked with Negro, black, and colored, and how they were whole, not for a term of years, but forever, so to speak. And they decided to do something about that. And what did they do about it? They petitioned the court of South Carolina not to be tried under the black code, not to be tried under the Negro law, but to be tried as Moorish nationals, special consideration, under your Moorish identity. In alliance with the King of Morocco, upheld and honored by the federal government, likewise with the state government, and of course the court agreed with them. Well, ain't that what you trying to get back to? Ain't that what you trying to connect to? And with citizens of South Carolina, ain't that what you trying to get back to?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely it is, man. That's why the prophets say we study this thing to make us better citizens, and we got to proclaim it throughout the states, and nations. Because that's the effect that we want. So we're not just talking this nation, state to state. We're talking this nation to nation now. So what the Dingley brothers did when they went before the generals and run this short, General Hershey, Colonel Swartz, and they let them know they were Moorish Americans, let them know that Maryland didn't recognize their origin, trying to call them slave terminology. Slavery ended in 1865, and we made sure that, but we fought in the war in Gettysburg. And the brother asked him, can you let us know that you understand where we coming from? The wrong thought for a minute. Let me see. Okay. Don't I feed them? Don't I clothe them? Islam? How did y'all brothers get here? We came on the bus. That was my bus y'all rode on. Y'all can't get out this building till I sign your pass. Do you think the black man will hear me? And the brother said, more, I think he'll hear you. And the general said, what? You damn right he'll hear me. Because if he don't hear me, we're going to turn hell on him. See, that's what y'all Moors got to understand. You follow me? That's why the prophet said, y'all Moors got plenty of help. You got plenty of help. But you got to step where the help is. See, what's happening, man? We become so discombobulated and so untrustworthy, right? That we like a dog chasing our own tail. And that got to stop. So it's no such thing as an embryo Moorish Science Temple. It's no such thing as a Federation Moorish Science Temple. There's no such thing as a Great Seal Moorish Science Temple. There's no such thing as a Republic Moorish Science Temple. There's no such thing. None of those names mean nothing. Noble Drew Ali brought the government. I got the government. All I need is the people. That's what you got to realize. Because what happens when that dynamic takes place? Each group now, their people, posture behind what that grand sheik created, and you got confusion on top of confusion in Moorish science. And I'm saying this goes back. This was the conspiracy to separate the Moors from the prophet and from the movement, to bring them in to bring them in that slave house again, so they'd be servants. Because that's what you are in Rome's house. You're a servant. And you got to let him know that the land is not yours. We're not in a European country. We're not in France, Ireland, Germany, England. We're in what's known as Egypt or the West. And the law is not yours. The law belongs to the citizens alone. Our forefathers, we was in the constitutional majority. Y'all came into our system of government. Remember, y'all had a problem with England. And in order to fight England properly, you had to have a system of government. Then 1774, the Article of Association. That initiated the New Era Time government. You watched us under the Iroquois Federation. We was there. We all the tribes. And if you want to get specific, the Mohawks were one of the oldest tribes there. They were known as the lawgivers. Hence the Moors, Mo, and Hawks, lawgivers, while the Hawks wait. That's very important and very significant. How time looking, Mo?
It's 4:04. How you feeling?
I wanna close out with this. I'm feeling good.
Good.
I'm good. But I can bring it to a close. Let me close out with this. Let me just run across some of this. I hadn't done it in a while. Wow. This is Abraham Lincoln. Some of the things he wrote. And, you know, one of the key things I always used to hear was this. You can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all the time. But you can't fool all the people all the time. Despotism. When the white man governs himself, that is self-government. But when he governs himself and also governs another man, that is more than self-government. That is despotism. Preservation of liberty. If there's anything which it is the duty of the people to never entrust to any hands but their own, that thing is the preservation and perpetuity of their own liberty and institution. Abraham Lincoln. Slavery. No man is good enough to govern another man without that other man's consent. Right and wrong. Stand with anybody that stands right. Stands with him while he is right. And part with him when he goes wrong. Abraham Lincoln, man, I'm telling you. Slavery is founded in the selfishness of man's nature. Opposite to it is his love for justice. Abraham Lincoln. Right? When we were the political slaves of King George and wanted to be free, we called the maximum that all men are created equal a self-evident truth. But now, when we have grown fat and have lost all dread of being slaves ourselves, and we have become so greedy to be masters that we call the same maxim a self-evident lie. The 4th of July has not quite dwindled away. It is still a great day for burning firecrackers. Abraham Lincoln, right? Freedom to every creature. If we cannot give freedom to every creature, let us do nothing that will impose slavery upon any other creature. Individual right. I believe each individual is naturally entitled to do as he pleases with himself and the fruit of his labor, so far as it in no wise interferes with any other man's right. And Lincoln said this, too, that labor can exist without capital, but capital cannot exist without labor. Islam. Abraham Lincoln was a wise brother, and a lot of things I could touch upon, but I'm pressed for time. So let me, wait a minute. 1 second. Bear with me. Bear with me 1 second, Mo.
Not a problem. Take your time, Mo. And when you get...
Thank you, Mo. Here's where we're going next.
Okay.
Gettysburg National Cemetery, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, November the 19th, 1863. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing that whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are meant on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those that gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a large sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggle here have consecrated far above our poor powers to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what we did here. It is for us, rather, here, the living, to be dedicated to the great, here, to the unfinished work that which they fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measures of devotion, that we here highly resolve that that nation shall not die in vain, that this nation under God, Allah, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. The prophet president, Abraham Lincoln. Islam wars, all civilizations begin with a book. Our Prophet Noah Ali, brought us a book called The Circle 7. Very important book. We open the book, we close the book. On the back of the book, it makes reference to every nation need to worship on its own vine and fig tree. This is the uniting of Asia. Come together, Moors. Islam. With that, thank you one and all. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Governor. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate and to know the higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for the teaching and instructing of all Moorish Americans, etc. The Holy Quran and the Moorish Science Temple of America. Know yourself and your Father God Allah, that you may learn to love instead of hate. Every man need to worship under his own vine and fig tree, the uniting of Asia. Brother Governor, can you read the warning for us, please? Do you have it available?
Wait a minute. One. Wait a minute.
If not, Mo, that's okay. I got it right here. I got it right in front of me.
Okay, go ahead, Mo.
All right. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, order to read proclamation at each meeting. Friday, January 15th, 1929, I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work or in their homes or on the streets. We offer peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card, button, cease wearing their turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by the order of the prophet Noble Drew Ali. I didn't get a chance to do this because we went right into the meeting, but I first want to rise, giving all praise, gratitude, and thanks to the Almighty Father God Allah, and I want to give honor to the illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and I want to give honor to the forerunners of the Prophet, the Honorable Marcus Mosaic Garvey. I want to give honors to all those who honor the House of Drew, and if you got honors coming, I give honors to you. I give honors to the Moorish literature, and I give honors to both flags, the American flag, which sustained us while we slept, but most importantly, our Moorish American flag, which is over 10,000 years old. And I give honor to all past, present, and future Grand Sheik and Sheikesses. And I thank you all for coming, and we thank you all for listening. Now, at this time, it is customary that all of those who wish to pray with us may do so. If not, you may stand in silent benediction. Please stand and face the east. Place your feet in a 45-degree angle, 2 on the right and 5 on the left. Sheiks, you know what to do. Repeat after me the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation,
my salvation,
by night
by night
and by day.
and by day.
To His holy prophet,
His holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
Amen. Peace.
This meeting is now officially adjourned, and we will meet back next week with the will of Allah. Thank you, Lord. We come in love, and we leave in peace. Islam.
Peace, Mo.
Peace.